Well, hey Gundam Maniacs, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. I'm Adam Blue, and for today's episode, I'm actually going to do a review over the season of Gundam Seed Destiny. I went through the first season. I do have a little review up of that, kind of a reaction review. And then I even did a little reaction of the first few episodes of Destiny, because I was actually shocked how much I liked it. But now I've completed Destiny. And, you know, I heard it gets bad in the second half. I have my thoughts, but yeah, let's get into it. Hey, before we get started, if you haven't, please subscribe. And if you think this is a cool video, give it a like. Check links in the description for ways you can help support the channel if you're into stuff like that. And we have a Discord as well. And we have a lot of fun out there. Yeah, let's get started. Okay, Seed, I did not like. It ended well. It had a lot of cool, fast-paced battling, conflict between sides, drama. It was enough to hold me at the end, but to work all the way to that, I was a little disappointed. Now, Destiny seemed to be completely different. I mean, straight from the beginning, it just had a bunch of these tropes that are typical of UC Gundam, and so seeing that, I guess maybe was familiar to me. It kind of grabbed me, and because of we had all that going on, the beginning of Destiny is rather fast-paced. I even think with Destiny, while it's overall the same, the animation's slightly better, the way the characters are drawn a little better, there's not some awkward drawn or awkward looks to the characters that sometimes you might see, like a background character not drawn as fully featured. You don't get a lot of that in Destiny. It's done pretty well overall. Now, as this show was going, the series was going, I was like, okay, when is it going to get bad? When is it going to get bad? And it will be pretty odd, maybe, what I explain the things that I thought were bad. You know, for one, I thought this focus on Lacus and Mir was a little annoying, because I'm like, okay, what's the point of this? I get it. This is kind of a Macross style thing with the idol singer, but what is this really going to do for the rest of the series? And there is, you know, kind of a function with the mobile suit. Something still I don't get, because it's in Seed and it's not a big deal, is the fact that they don't have any color to them, the Gundams. And then once they launch, it will turn into the color depending on their configuration or something. I don't know. It seems like it has such little meaning in the grand scheme of things when it comes to Seed and Seed Destiny. And they have that little, laser beam that would shoot into the head of the Gundam and then change its color. Just like, for all the sci-fi stuff they're doing here, that was just a little out there and weird. And what I didn't find out there weird is kind of the new type Seed thing that's going on, where when a character, I guess, kicks into overdrive, it kind of flashes to a seed, and then a seed bursts, and then you see their pupils shrink. That's okay with me. That wasn't too crazy. But then Kira showed up, started making more of a presence, and it seemed completely pointless. In fact, I was trying to kind of keep this in mind by the end of Destiny, but it seems like Kira didn't even need to be in it at all, and it probably would have had a better outcome. I mean, even Athrun, I found his character to be, in a way, it's pointless. He seemed to be kind of careless and kind of ignorant to things. I don't know. Athrun in this, at first, you know, it came off as a Quattro, except for the fact that, like, it was his fiance that was leader of this nation, and then he wasn't working. He was just kind of the stay-at-home dad, the kind of just hanging out and doing nothing. It was kind of interesting, because then once he gets propelled into all this stuff, it's almost like things are happening around him, and he's just kind of like, oh no, what do I do? And then the things just happened. I mean, he was getting owned by Shin, by anybody, during the course of the series. It was very interesting to see how this Athrun character played out. But, like, in a way, it's like I could relate to him. It's like being in life and lost, not really knowing what to do, but things just kind of keep going around you. You're like, okay, and I don't know. It was really funny how they wrote Athrun, because really, the star of the show for me was Shin. Shin, a great character. It was like the best combination of Amuro, Camille, Judo. It just how he was younger. He had that angstiness about him. But also he had an emotional side, and he was willing to show it. I think that made for a very compelling sort of relationship between him and, I think it was Luna. Because at first, at first it seemed like she was interested in Athrun, but I think only because, Athrun was a very interesting person, unbeknownst that he was kind of boring. But so people wanted to get to know him as she did, but Athrun was kind of thrust into this thing with the fake Lacus. So then we see Shin is able to be emotional in front of Luna without worrying about how he appears, and I think she really liked that, and so then she truly started liking Shin, and I think that was a real genuine relationship there. But going back to this Lacus and Mir thing, I found it interesting that this Mir character existed because, one of the main problems I have with this show is kind of like the same problem I have with SD Gundam Battle Alliance. It's like, as much as I love Gundam, I don't care to be little SD Gundams, but I guess this is what I've got. It's kind of like when I'm watching Seed Destiny, it's like, I don't really like seeing these caricature anime faces everywhere, but I guess that's what I got to watch, this show. Because, the eyes are drawn super big, noses are non-existent, and the heads are shaped weird, and it's mainly the main young characters that have this look, whereas other characters, background characters, I think Andrew Waltfield being one of them, having a very unique look to them, or kind of that classical anime drawn look. And what I'm saying is just those crazy anime characters pull me out of being engaged with the characters. I had to kind of force myself to understand what was really happening in order to really get into it. And I think by the end of the first season of Destiny, of Standard Seed, I was able to do that. So getting into Destiny, I kind of got over that. And so, I was those were some of my complaints about the series. Again, it had to do with the main characters not being, seeming to be pointless, kind of the color shifting, and that shooting the laser at the head of the Gundam was a little weird, and then sometimes what they were trying to do with the characters, like Lacus, Mir. But then, as it continues to unfold, some interesting things crop about, and one main thing with Gundam is that sort of the idea that war is bad, violence is bad, people shouldn't be fighting. It's in all Gundam. What's interesting in this was how obvious they were about the root of the problem, and it was purposeful. If I said that, Seed, the original Seed, was an idea of, well, let's just kind of reboot what UC is, but losing the essence of it, and the characters don't make sense. See, Destiny takes it a step further, and it's like, okay, this is really what people like out of UC, and we're gonna really just get to it, throw it in your face, because that Chairman Durandal, if I'm saying his name correctly, he quickly said, yeah, there's a group out there that are purposely pushing people to fight so that they can profit off of the weapons, that military-industrial complex. I want to even say that term was used in it. And I find that interesting because I think that is legitimately what could be going on in our real world, if it's not that this is going on because there is some crazy alien threat coming and then we need to have the best military technology possible. But with what evidence and what weird things we see out there right now, it's really about these large corporations kind of pushing the weaponry to get a lot of money. And, a little bit of that is in Witch for Mercury as well. But anyway, the chairman is he goes out there and he just says it, that this is what he wants to do because fighting is bad. And it's weird because from the beginning, when you meet this chairman character, it almost seemed like he was going to be a bad guy anyway. Even though, and I think this is the same with nearly every character, their motivations were usually for the good. And I think even Kira has a line where he talks about that everyone's really trying to do the right thing. And it wasn't really until the end that that Chairman Durandal fired that weapon from that, into those little rings where it kind of was able to shift the laser. Once he did that, that cemented him as the super bad guy, just as bad as Jibril, whatever that guy's name is, I can look it up later, from Logos. Shooting the laser obviously is bad. Otherwise, Durandal could have been good because they really did a good job of kind of showing the superficialness of, or the arbitrary alliances these nations will have in order to push one or another to fight. Mirrors very much what's going on today, where it then feeds directly into the line where they are talking about the war is being used for profiting. But But another neat angle that this used, and I think resonates today, and maybe we haven't even seen it fully realized, and it may be in the future, and that is celebrity or influence or high influence or celebrity status that is influencing the direction politically maybe a nation or culture will move forward in a time of war. And maybe we've seen that before. I could think of, like Donald Trump was considered a celebrity. He was voted in as a president. I think that's a little different. A character like Lacus, indirectly a pop idol. People want to listen to her. If she starts saying things about the war, people are going to listen to her. So it turns out that this Mere Campbell character was someone that was supposed to look exactly like Lacus, even though it seemed like that was a joke referencing itself, the show, of the characters being designed the same. But that she had messaging, on behalf of Zaft, the nation of Zaft, that she was able to give out to the people that were watching. So it was very interesting that there was this sort of subplot of this Lacus, fake Lacus, that was messaging in one direction that works towards Chairman Durandal's benefit. But then we had the real Lacus that is almost like the Ayug in a way, and she's on her ship, the Eternal. And so anyway, what I'm trying to say is I think it's very interesting how this show even uses celebrity influencing to direct people's sides during times of war. So we got the military-industrial complex being called out on its face. We've got influence by celebrity called out right on its face. And I think like Destiny is really on the nose of what it's like to live in the modern political landscape. So when it comes to the mobile suits, in Seed, I thought they were okay. They're pretty cool looking in general. The Astray that has that look, and that happens to be a mass-produced suit, which is really awesome. The Freedom, I thought was pretty cool. It was okay. But there's something about the Impulse that I like. It stands out to me so much for so many reasons. There's a little bit of that light blue highlights in some areas. The chest piece really reminds me a lot of the Victory Gundam, which I'm a huge fan of. It's got that look to it also, where it really, I love the look of the Impulse, especially when it has like its packs and the stuff on it. I love the fact that Luna, the character, gets that to be her mobile suit later on. Yeah, I like a lot about this. Okay, and then here's the Force Impulse, I guess being that it has the Force pack on it or whatever. I like that look. I like that we see that. There's a lot of land combat going on in Destiny, and for whatever side it is, they have a lot of those thruster packs with wings on the back. It's done very well. The Murasame, kind of like 4 in Zeta, and it looks like a Wave Rider, actually, when it's in that, yeah, look at that, it looks like a Wave Rider. So that one is really cool, along with, and then the other being this Wyndham, which I love how this looks, because it's almost like a Gundam, but the idea of it being a gym. I don't know. There's a lot going on with this that's cool. Also having a flight pack, again, for the atmosphere combat. So there's a lot design-wise they do with Seed that I think is like top-tier Gundam. But at the same time, I think it's more of the essence, like a top-tier essence of UC Gundam. Whereas individually, units in UC are very unique and distinct on their own. I think this does it just in general. Anyway, and so as we get near the end, we kind of see, I would say the resolution that occurs, it's nothing unique that happens. The coolest thing at the end is the battle between Kira and Shin. The music that's played during that is awesome. The fight ensues, but there's really nothing interesting. It kind of goes through the motions where they end up stopping the chairman from activating the laser again, and then all's like, okay, let's negotiate peace, which, that's kind of like what they did the first time around. So really, the difference with Seed Destiny is that it was specifically the military-industrial complex that reared its head. Zaft wanted to the chairman used Lacus to take advantage of her influence in order to spread the message that something bad was going to happen, and he wanted to be able to do the right thing. It almost seems like it's pretty good in a way. I mean, there's always degrees of propaganda we have to live with anyway. And I think the only problem is with Mir being used at the end, it could have been done for bad if it wasn't for intervening of the Archangel crew. So that's Seed Destiny. Curious what you guys think. Looking on the internet to kind of gauge just general Google search, people like Seed more, and they don't really like Destiny. And I think it's crazy. I think Destiny is so much better, but also Destiny seems to be self-aware when it comes to its shortcomings, which are very little, but if anything, I would say it is in its very on-the-nose exposition, of what the main conflict here, but this allows time for all these different character interactions to kind of unfold while these multiple sides are caught in this, like, multi-sided conflict. Some of the stuff that's really just super tropey, but filled with a lot of fun. Anyway, let me know what you think. We'll talk later.